Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another fantastic episode of Desktop Ball. It's the only show where I sit at my desktop and talk ball. Today is Tuesday, November 19th, and we've got an NFL Week 11, College Football Week 12 recap for you. It was an exciting weekend of NFL football. So, without further ado, let's jump right into it. Starting with tonight's game, we've got the Texans 34 and the Cowboys 10. Um, a game where the Cowboys looked like they could compete early, and Cooper Rush didn't look so bad. I mean, look at his final stats: 32 completions, 354 yards, and a touchdown. What I would give to have a Giants quarterback have that stat line. Honestly, not a bad game out of Cooper Rush. Jerry Jones is gonna jump on and say, it's all injuries, and we can't do anything about the fact that our team gets hurt, and it is too bad. Zach Martin goes down, Tyler Smith goes down, so gash on offensive line for maybe the remainder of the year, at least the remainder of that game. Um, this game is just the Joe Mixon game. Watching it with one of my buddies who's sweating a fantasy football game, and Joe Mixon just drops 35 on him and takes him out. It was brutal, but also very, very funny. So nice win for the Texans. It's the Cowboys. This isn't a statement win anymore. It's not even really an impressive win. It's just handling business against a team that is just so bad. Um, the defense is not good. They can't stop the run. Trevon Diggs is still beyond soft, and I'm so glad that Cowboys fans have come around to the fact that he is soft and not that good. He had the season where he had a whole bunch of interceptions and people were acting like he was just the best cornerback on the planet. He's not the best cornerback on the planet. He's soft and he jumps routes and he's not that great in coverage. Um, so yeah, tough loss for the Cowboys who are looking to lose out at this point, looking to tank. Unfortunately for them, they play the Giants on Thanksgiving, with Tommy DeVito at the helm. If you don't know, Daniel Jones got benched. So yeah, I mean it's get ready to take a nice nap Thanksgiving afternoon and not have to watch any Giants versus Cowboys. Um, on a programming note, I forgot, not forgot. I guess the best way to say it is I just was busy this weekend and failed to do a weekend preview after the Thursday night football game. I should have done one. Just had a guest and had to tend to the fact that I had a guest. So it is what it is. But yeah, Eagles 26, Commanders 18 past Thursday night football. This was sort of the game for me of which of these two teams am I going to trust the rest of the year. Came into it thinking that the Eagles were that team, and I think I was pretty vindicated in that belief. Um, Saquon Barkley is the best running back in football, and getting rid of him is going to haunt us for a while. Uh, he's just so good. For the Commanders, I'm a little concerned about Jaden Daniels. I feel like he is not, I mean, he's not playing as well as he was at the start of the year. I don't know if that's, he was just Superman at the start of the year, and you can't play at that level for a rookie consistently, and I don't mind that take if that's your take, but it looks a lot worse. It looks like a lot worse. Which I think is cause for concern, given that they really haven't played anybody, and when they do play teams, they lose. The Steelers, the Eagles, the Ravens, the Bucks are their four losses. Their most impressive win outside of that is blowing out the Cardinals, which is an impressive win, but it's just not a team you should trust. They're not that great, and Jaden's play in recent weeks, I think, is cause for concern. Let's get into the Sunday slate. We've got Packers 20, Bears 19. Watching this game with a buddy of mine who had the Packers in his survival pool, which, all you have to do is pick the winner. If your team loses, you're eliminated. Um, he had the Packers, and the Bears take the lead. They're up 19-14, and he's freaking out. He's freaking out. Oh my goodness, how are the Bears going to beat the Packers? The Packers are so much better. The Bears, how are they going to do this? Like, what is going on? And I just sat there and I told him, like, you've got too much faith in the Bears. They're going to find a way to lose this. He's like, no, no, no. Like, look, they're winning. They're going to win. You've got too much faith. Packers go and score a touchdown to make it 20-19, fail a 2-point conversion. He's like, "Oh my God, we're gonna lose. We're gonna lose." Dude, you've got too much faith in the Bears. The Bears drive half the field, get into a field goal attempt. Oh my God, this is so bad. We're gonna lose. Dude, you've got too much faith in the Bears. Bears attempt a field goal. It gets blocked, of course, and it's just the same old Bears Packers. I mean, when these two logos play, it's just the same story with a different twist every time. It's like Star Wars Episode 7. I mean, is it slightly a different package? Is it a little bit new how the Death Star gets blown up? Yeah, I mean, it's a little new. It's a little different, but is it still the exact same story and the Bears are just so sad? Yeah, that's what it is. Caleb Williams, I thought, played well in this game, probably his best game of the year. And did everything he needed to do to win the game, really. Just a special teams gaff and Packers win 20-19. Packers improved to 7-3, which you know, is a lot better than 6-4. Like a lot better than 6-4. For the Bears, if you beat the Commanders on the Hail Mary, on if you defended the Hail Mary effectively, I should say, and if you beat the Packers in this game, we'd be saying that the Bears are fine. You know, unfortunately, we don't get to play the if game, and I think that this, like games like this, that's going to cost Matt Eberflus's job. I think we all know he's gone, but that is going to cost him the job. I mean, you just have to find a way to win games like that against a rival when you have been dominant all game. Lions 52, Jaguars 6. There's not really a ton to say regarding this game. The Lions are just so, so, so good. And the Jaguars are very, very bad. And it's Mac Jones, so like you can't really even do anything. I saw the Lions, I think, had 650 yards of offense in this game. Can you fathom your team having 650 yards in a game? I don't know if the Giants have had 300 yards in a game this year. 650 yards. That's college. I wouldn't be surprised if the Oregon Ducks have not reached 650 yards in a game this year. It's I mean, it's just obscene. They're just so, so good, at least at beating down on bad teams. If Jared Goff can stand in the pocket and throw to his first read and the run game is working, this team is just so dangerous. So dangerous. I don't think we learned anything about them, honestly, in this game. Like would you say that they have a better shot at the Super Bowl because of a game like this? I don't necessarily think so. I think I think they are what we've thought they are the whole time. They're an absolute juggernaut. Beatable probably by a good team having a good day, but an absolute juggernaut. Jaguars, I think, sit atop Tankathon for the first overall pick. Indeed, they do. So good for you, Jaguars. Um, Vikings 23, Titans 13. This game feels like it was a little closer on the scoreboard than it was. Um, it felt like the Vikings were just in dominant control of this game the entire time, which I guess they were. I mean, they were up 23-10 at entering the fourth. Titans kick a field goal and that's it. But you would think that the Vikings would maybe dominate the Titans even more. Will Levis had a pretty clean game. I didn't see any turnovers. Maybe I'm wrong, but let's see. Am I able to pop that out? Previous game. Oh, he did have a turnover. Of course. It's Will Levis. Um, I don't know. Pretty good game for the Vikings. You win, you beat the Titans. Congratulations. I mean, there's just a couple of these games this week, like Lions, Jaguars, Vikings, Titans, where a good team just goes and handles a bad team. Obviously, the Vikings didn't beat the Titans to the extent that the Lions beat the Jaguars, but just a team that you knew was going to go and win a game goes and wins a game. There's not a ton to talk about. Um, I'd like to see Justin Jefferson get more involved. And actually, look at this Aaron Jones stat line. 15 carries for 39 yards. That is so bad. Um, and the Titans have a good run defense, so I guess that makes sense. Uh, Sam Darnold, that concerns me a little bit, I guess, of just not the fact that they're not putting up a ton of points on a bad Titans team. But the Titans defense is good. You can't disrespect them like that. So I won't. Dolphins 34, Raiders 19. The Dolphins, dare I say, have a shot. Um, the big competition is the Broncos, who got a big win. We'll talk about the Broncos, but um, the Dolphins, the Bengals, there's always still a chance. I mean, you just have to win and keep winning is how it needs to go. But at 4-6, um, I mean, 6 losses, you can get into the playoffs. Yes, they play a lot of good teams, but let's look at it. Oh yeah, it's Packers, Texans, Niners as the three like really good teams they still play. If you can steal two from the Packers, Texans, and Niners, you can get to 10-7, and maybe there's hope. Johnny Smith was great in this game. Tua was very good in this game. Brock Bowers was fantastic in this game. He's always fantastic, but he was particularly fantastic in this game. Um, Brock Bowers, I think, should win. I mean, Jaden Daniels is going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year, and that's fine. I would like it to be like a skill position Offensive Rookie of the Year as well. If there were one, you would definitely give it to Brock Bowers, unless Malik Neighbors like totally turns up in the last couple weeks of the season. But I think Brock Bowers has just been so good. A lot of people were very down on the Raiders picking Brock Bowers, and he doesn't get them any closer to a Super Bowl this year. They're not going to win now with Brock Bowers, but what it does do is set up for the quarterback who's going to come in to come into a good situation. Look at look at the Commanders. If Jaden Daniels didn't come into having Terry McLaurin and having Brian Robinson Jr., he's playing fantastic, but like this this type of thing helps, you know. You can talk about the Giants. Like the Giants are setting up for the next quarterback with Malik Neighbors and Theo Johnson and the weapons around Tyrone Tracy, offensive line. Like there's some setup work to be done. The best example is bringing in Caleb to the Bears, but unfortunately, that's not going as well as it really should be going. So you can't really use that as an example. But I think Brock Bowers is fantastic, and I think that he sets up the Raiders to have a quarterback that could be successful. Um, would love to see them get a weapon and a quarterback and see what they can do. Hopefully, they draft after the Giants. We just looked at Tankathon. Let's check. So here they'd pick fifth overall, which that might not be quarterback range, which would be tough because there's a few teams above them that definitely need quarterback. Rams 28, Patriots 22. I love watching Drake May play football. I love watching him compete. He's a competitor. He's pretty good. He fights. He's got no weapons, no talent, nothing, and he still goes out and competes for this Patriots team over and over. Um, Puka Nacua, tough as nails, absolutely tough as nails. Um, Goes down with an injury on a fantastic touchdown catch, comes back into the game, continues to dominate. He was so good in this game. Cooper Kupp, 2 touchdowns, I think, in this game. Uh, so I guess give some credit to Matt Stafford, who's been playing well this year when he has his weapons. This gets the Rams to 5-5, and the NFC West is absolutely anyone's race. Over here on the right, Arizona's at 6-4. Everyone else is 5-5. Super winnable division for any of those teams. It's going to be very fun coming down the stretch here. I need a water. Give me 1 second here. Alrighty. Saints 35, Browns 14. Um, yeah, pretty good game for the Saints. This was the Taysom Hill game. Every year we have one Taysom Hill game. 7 carries, 138 yards, 3 touchdowns. He had some passing. I think he had an interception, some catching. Taysom Hill just doing it all, being Taysom Hill. Uh, if you're the guy who got to start him as a tight end in fantasy this week, good for you. Um, you simply lucked out. The Browns are really bad. Jameis comes in and it's a spark. It's a one-game spark, and he didn't even play that bad in this game. 400 yards and two touchdowns. Like he played okay. It's just I don't know. The Browns are just really bad. They've sold everyone. The defense is not what the defense was because how could they be really? Um, there's no faith. There's no hope. And the Saints just absolutely manhandled them. Um, a good old-fashioned manhandling. 35-14. I mean, the Saints scoring 35. I know they did it earlier in the year against some bad teams, and I guess the Browns are a bad team, but this Saints team was down and out. What, 3 weeks ago after they lost to the Panthers? They lose to the Panthers. Twitter goes crazy. They fire Dennis Allen, and here we go. They beat the Falcons. They beat the Browns. They've got a few winnable games down the stretch. I mean, are they going to make the playoffs? No. But if you thought the Saints were going to pick first overall, they are not. They are not going to pick first overall. Colts 28, Jets 27. Same old embarrassing, pitiful Jets. They are so just sad. So sorry, truly. Just a sorry, sorry situation. Um, and I mean, they're out at this point. They have 8 losses. I mean, you could get to 9-8, but even if you did, you're probably still out. Anthony Richardson and the Colts came into your stadium and this game, they won 28-27. The Jets, I mean, they score with not very much time left on the clock, and the Colts walk down the field on them. They walk down the field effortlessly. Anthony Richardson ends up scoring. I mean, the defense is bad. They fire Robert Saleh, the defense gets worse. The offense finally scores. I mean, this is the most points they've scored this year, 27 points. It's not enough. Brees Hall was great in this game. Other than him, I mean, it's so disappointing. It's stagnant. It's Aaron Rodgers trying to be a Superman and you're 41 years old, dude. Like run the damn ball, Run the goddamn football. And when they do, Brees Hall, I mean it always works. It always works. I wish they would just give him the ball on every play. Um, but it is what it is. Colts get a big win to get to 5-6. They are not out of the AFC wild card picture. It would have been nice for them if the Falcons could have beat the Broncos, but we're going to get to that because that was not close. Steelers 18, Ravens 16. Mike Tomlin, home underdog. This was the lock of the millennium to at least cover. They win outright. Um, if I had done a preview show, I would have told you to take out a mortgage on your house and put it on the Steelers to cover in this game. It was just absolutely inevitable. Mike Tomlin as a home dog in a divisional matchup. There's really nothing else that needs to be said. For the Ravens, it's disappointing that they allow a team like the Steelers, who I don't think is that good, to muck a game up to this extent that they can kick 6 field goals and beat you. I mean, the Ravens are a team that, I mean, that offense has been so good the first, I don't know, the first 12 weeks of the season, whatever. They were like the best offense in football, other than the Lions, probably. Second best offense in football. And they just allowed the Steelers team to just make it ugly and run it. I mean, my friend is a Steelers fan. His name's Tom. Run it down your throat and kick a field goal is what he says. That's Steelers football, and that's what they do. They're gonna run the ball, kick a field goal, run the ball, kick a field goal. They don't need a touchdown. What do they need a touchdown for? They can beat you 18-16 because the defense can make it ugly. I maybe it's time to respect the Steelers as like a real threat in the AFC. I just can't bring myself to believe in them, but maybe, maybe. Mike Tomlin as a home dog in a divisional game. Write that down. If you're somebody who's a sports bettor who likes free money, Mike Tomlin, home underdog, divisional matchup, I think he's like undefeated against the spread in that situation. He's fantastic. Broncos 38, Falcons 6. Did anyone see this coming? I mean, I know the Broncos were favored in the game, but did anyone see 38-6 coming? This was it was I mean, this says Bo Nix puts on a show in 4 touchdown performance. I think that's a fair way to say he put on a show. A show. Bo Nix put on a show. I mean, I don't know. I'm so low on Bo Nix. I don't think he's very good at all. Um, not like a passing downfield, like, air yards kind of guy, but 38-6, four touchdowns. I mean, the Broncos are good. The defense is good. We've been saying for a while now, with this Broncos defense, I believe it was the Russell Wilson stat. If they just averaged 20 points per game, they would have made the playoffs last year. Well, you bring in a guy like Bo Nix, who it seems is going to be able to score you a bunch of points. They can win it. They can absolutely make the playoffs. Not win the Super Bowl, but they can make the playoffs. All right. Sorry. My I'm like struggling over here with the air. All right. Seahawks 20, 49ers 17. Um Really, really good win for the Seahawks. I mean, I think the whole world gave the Seahawks no chance in this game. They go on the road, they beat the 49ers, who were supposed to be this resurgent. Christian McCaffrey's back. We have a plan. You know, we have all the answers. We're the San Francisco 49ers, and we're gonna figure this out. We're gonna make a run. Well, here comes Geno Smith and the banged up Seattle Seahawks to get a win on the road in the San Francisco's 49ers stadium. I mean, it's a gutsy, gutsy win. And a massive win. We talked about already. The Seahawks, Niners, and Rams are all 5-5. The Cardinals are 6-4. The 49ers have now lost to each divisional opponent. Um, and they can turn up, they can win the division. I still, I mean, I would pick the Niners. If you're gonna force me to put money on a team to win the division, I'd pick the Niners. But it's a big win for the Seahawks. It's like this win keeps them relevant, whereas a loss probably would have been lethal. It's massive. And credit to Geno Smith, honestly, who continues to play well. I think I don't know. Geno Smith is a guy that like, every he comes in and it was like a fun story and it was cool, but you're like waiting for him to turn back into a pumpkin, right? Very similar to Sam Darnold this year. It's like when is this gonna break? And it just keeps working. It just keeps working, and maybe Geno is just good, you know? Maybe it's just good. Gets a win on the road against the 49ers. That is just so, so massive for that division. Biggest game of the week, although not best game of the week. We'll talk about the best game of the week. Bills 30, Chiefs 21. Um, Finally, the Bills get a win over the Chiefs. It's in the regular season. I mean, Josh Allen immediately after the game says, like, we tend to meet in the playoffs. This win is nice, but this is not the end goal. But it's a nice win. It's a monkey off your back win. Bills are 5-0 at home now. Josh Allen, fantastic in this game. He continues to just be superhuman, continues the MVP campaign. I think he's going to win it. I think this win basically solidifies it. Um, Mahomes was bad in this game. Like, and it feels wrong to say that Mahomes was bad in any game, but he was not himself in this game, and he has not been great this regular season. They've gotten away with it. The defense has bailed them out. The Chiefs they've found ways to win games that are close, whatever. Um, Mahomes has not been playing Patrick Mahomes caliber football. And I'm sure he will come playoff time. Yeah, they always flip the switch. They will turn it on. I'm sure it's all going to be fine. But he is like, if you're a Chiefs fan, you're concerned that he is like not playing that good of football. Losing Rashee Rice rears its head in this game. The weapons are not getting open. Travis Kelce was nowhere. Xavier Worthy was nowhere. Kareem Hunt's your running back. I mean, eventually just the gaps in the roster have to catch up. I think they caught up in this game and the Bills get a big win that I think they needed just for the belief, right? And also the Bills, they've only played a couple good teams, you know. They lost to the Ravens and Texans back to back. They've got a nice win over the Cardinals, I guess, and you know, the Seahawks win is decent, but this is the first like good team they've beaten. And the first two good teams they did play were the Ravens and Texans, and they lost both of those games. So I think this helps just in terms of the belief, you know. Game of the week, Chargers 34, Bengals 27. This game was so awesome. The Chargers tried their absolute best to do what they did in the Trevor Lawrence four picks, roar back and win the playoff game in what was that, 22, 21, whenever it was. Um, Commanding lead at halftime, 24-6 at halftime. And just looked like they were going to cruise to win the game, just absolutely cruise. And the Bengals roar back. Their season's on the line. They absolutely have to win this game. Like they must win this game to continue being relevant in the AFC picture. And they come out and they are ready to play. I mean, if the Bengals played like they played in the third quarter, like all the time, they would win the Super Bowl for the next 5 years. Unfortunately, that's just not the case, but they came out like their life was on the line, and they I mean Jamar Chase is just fantastic. When he's double covered, you can hit T. Higgins, who is not bad. Chase Brown had a nice game. Joe Burrow was great again. Um, but it's too little, too late. The Chargers find a way to stabilize. They find a way to win. J.K. Dobbins scores to cap off the game. Good for J.K. Dobbins, who should win Comeback Player of the Year. And it's just gutting for the Bengals. For the Chargers, this is such a big culture win. Such a big culture win. The Brandon Staley Chargers would lose this game 100 times out of 100. I mean, like Harbaugh is the difference in winning and losing games like this. The Chargers are a team that, for a long time, at least in my life, has been cursed to choke. They choke every game. It's like the logo on the helmet. If there's an opportunity to choke, the Chargers will find it and they will do it. Not today. Not today. They hold on against a red hot Bengals offense. They finally get it. They get enough stops in the fourth quarter. Credit to Justin Herbert, who was good in this game. He continues to be good. And the Chargers are 7-3. They're 7-3. Um, they are built a lot like the Kansas City Chiefs. Really good at defense. Really good at quarterback. A couple nice weapons. No stud weapon, but a couple nice weapons. Solid on offensive line. Two like all pro talented level tackles in Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt. Um, I mean, they're built to get good. They really are. They go get a couple weapons, maybe some help with secondary or whatever. Uh, they're gonna be so real in the coming years. They've got a gauntlet coming up though. Ravens, Falcons, Chiefs. If they can go 2-1 in those, I'm in. I'm in on like Chargers Super Bowl. But we'll see. I'm very interested in them. That's the NFL. Hope you are a big NFL guy and enjoyed some NFL. Let's get into some college. It was a great week of college football. Another one of those weeks where the slate doesn't look great, and yet college football just continues to deliver. It always delivers. Um, I mean, it just always delivers. They always find a way. Let's get into it, starting with the game everybody wants to talk about. Start with Tennessee on the road at Georgia with a 10-point lead after the first quarter, and then it just collapses. Georgia is really good. They are, I mean, at their ceiling, they are probably the best team in college football. And I think most people know that. I mean, preseason, who was ranked number one? Georgia. And why? Because they're the best. I mean, on paper, they are probably the best. It's either Georgia, Texas, Ohio State, or Oregon. I mean, it's the same Big Four from the start of the year. The champion will come from one of those four. I would be very surprised if it doesn't. Um, I don't know. Maybe Ole Miss or Bama. They're playing good ball too. But Georgia is so real. They are so real. The fact that they were out of the college football playoff rankings, I think it is just criminal. Um, yes, they got punked by Ole Miss. And yes, they got beat up by Alabama in one half of football. And The ugly has oftentimes outweighed the good with this Georgia team, but at their ceiling, we're just talking ceilings here. I think they're absolutely the best team in college football. Tennessee's offense is a problem. Tennessee's offense is an absolute problem. In these big games, they can't score 20 points. Um, and you start up 10-0. I mean, you like with that much cushion, the offense, it's just a problem. Let's go look. Get this off. Alabama, they score 24. Georgia, they score 17. Arkansas, they lose because they only score 14. Oklahoma, they only score 15 when in a game that was supposed to be big. I mean, sorry, did I say 15? They only score 25. What did I say? Whatever. I mean, the offense is a problem. Right now, if you were to leave an SEC team out, I think it's Tennessee. And we'll talk about it. Let's make a Google Doc. Let's make a Google Doc. Here it is. We've got Big 12 champ. Well, let's start with SEC champ. Okay, well, we got it. Then we've got Big 10 champ. We've got ACC champ. Boom. We've got Big 12 champ. And G5 champ. Okay, that's 5 spots. Now, unfortunately, let's say SEC champ or Big 10 champ, we're going to call Oregon. And for the sake of argument, we'll say Texas wins the SEC. We'll go Miami, and we'll say I think Colorado is going to win the Big 12. Colorado. Okay, and G5, obviously Boise State. Okay. Unfortunately, Notre Dame is going to make the playoff. It's the unfortunate truth. Notre Dame is going to make the playoff, even with a loss to NIU, which I think should absolutely eliminate them. It's not going to happen. So Notre Dame, fine. But that's still, I mean, look, that's 6 teams. So we can, surely there's room for a team like Tennessee, right? Well, let's do the Big Ten. Penn State, Ohio State, and Indiana. Okay, let's make this a numbered list. Oh, I hate that. Okay, let's undo that. Okay, trust me, I know the math. We're good. Now, how many teams does this leave for the SEC? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 teams. And with the SEC champ Texas, who do we have room for? Well, I would argue Georgia. I would argue Alabama. And I would argue Ole Miss. I don't see room for a Tennessee. I don't see room. I don't see room for a one-loss SMU. I don't see room for a BYU or a Colorado at large. There's no like this is it. 4 from the SEC, 4 from the Big Ten, Notre Dame, and the champions is what you're gonna get. Because these Big Ten teams, I mean, they're in. These are locks. And Notre Dame is probably a lock. And you have to give one for the ACC and the Big 12 champion. This is what it is. So for a team like Tennessee, I mean, this loss is brutal. It's a brutal loss. It's like season over loss, potentially. I mean, Alabama plays nobody. The only big game in the SEC left is Texas A&M, which means the only situation where Tennessee can make the playoff is if Texas A&M beats Texas, then we change SEC champion. I'll call it Georgia. I think if Texas is not in, that Georgia will win it, and Georgia could win it anyway. And then I would say Georgia's we don't need them down here anymore. And I would say these teams shift up. Tennessee gets that last spot, and I would argue Texas would be out because Texas would have 2 losses, no real impressive wins, and all you could say is, well, on paper, Texas is really good, or they did a good job beating bad teams, but everybody does a good job beating bad teams. So, I mean, this is the situation you could end up in. So for Tennessee, you're a big Aggie fan. But here's the problem. Here's the problem. How about Texas A&M? I mean, if they beat Texas, they will go to the SEC championship, and maybe they get in over Tennessee. So Tennessee might be out. Like this might have been a knockout game for Tennessee at 8-2, which is crazy. I mean, do they have the statement win? They do. They have a statement win at home against Alabama. It's a big win. But other than that, I mean, if you're gonna discredit Texas's Michigan game and discredit Texas's Oklahoma game, NC State is not a ranked team. They never should have been. Oklahoma is not a ranked team. They never should have been. The only impressive win is against Alabama. It's at home. It's a 7-point win. It's a nice win, but I mean, an Arkansas loss, I would argue, is bad enough to outweigh it. It's dangerous. It's super dangerous for Tennessee. I mean, they are absolutely on the fringe. I would say they are on the outside looking in now, which is crazy. It's crazy. I mean, now maybe you say, okay, well, Brian, you're talking about Tennessee like they should be in. Which team should be out? I think it's absolutely glaringly obvious which team should be out. It's the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish do not belong in the playoff. You don't get to play absolutely nobody. I mean, who have they played? They lost to Northern Illinois. They've got a win against now unranked Louisville, a win against now unranked Navy. The only good win, and it is a good win, is on the road at Texas A&M in week one. And that may not age well. So for me, I'm a diehard Army and USC fan these next 2 weeks because Notre Dame doesn't belong. We need to get them out. We need to get them out. So let's go Army. Let's go USC. Somebody knock this team out. They don't belong. Okay. That's Tennessee, Georgia. You like my Tennessee, Georgia recap? I hope you did. Kansas goes on the road to BYU and wins. Um, I had a feeling this one might happen. Kansas is starting to really round into form late in the season. And credit to them for doing it. BYU is just not that good, guys. I mean, they're not that good. Who are we kidding? Putting this team at 6 in the country. And there's a very good chance that we end up saying the same thing about Indiana. But I don't mind giving Indiana the benefit of the doubt. I think they look better than BYU looks. I was never convinced with this BYU team. I mean, I guess you have to put them high, but like, what are we doing? I mean, they're not serious. Oregon survives. I mean, Oregon escapes against Wisconsin. Down 13-6. And at Wisconsin, I'm sure as you know, they play jump around, and Oregon gets hype. They get hyped to jump around. I mean, they get ready to go. They get ready to go play against this tough Wisconsin team who I think is a little better than their record. Um, and they get a gutsy win in Madison. Now, a lot of people will say, okay, well, come on, Wisconsin, they're not that good. And no, they're not that good. I mean, this is not like a very impressive win for Oregon. But consider this. Oregon has played 8 straight conference games with no bye. They had a bye after this Oregon State game. They then played UCLA, Michigan State, Ohio State, Purdue, Illinois, Michigan, Maryland, Wisconsin. Is it the most loaded schedule on the planet? No, it's not the most loaded schedule on the planet, but you played Ohio State and you beat them at home. I mean, 8 straight conference games. That's tough. Not a lot of teams are doing that. A lot of teams are, Alabama's playing Mercer. Alabama had a bye. Like these teams have midseason buys or they like the SEC throws in a Mercer or somebody bad at the end of it. 8 straight conference games for newcomer Oregon. They were bound to have one of these dud games. Every team has had one of these dud games. I mean, Texas just had a dud game against Arkansas. It can happen for anybody. Um, Still really high on Oregon. Still think they deserve to be number one. Are they the best team? I'm not convinced. Um, I think they got bailed out in the game against Ohio State by that offensive pass interference call against Jeremiah Smith. But I mean, they're at least top three. I think that's very fair to say. Maybe top four. Arizona State beats Kansas State in a stunner. I think this puts Arizona State in a position that they could make the Big 12 championship. The Big 12 is going to be crazy, y'all. It's going to be absolute carnage, total carnage. Colorado beats Utah in a game that Utah made close, and then Colorado pulls away at the end. Um, Travis Hunter's going to be the Heisman. He deserves to be the Heisman. I get it that he's not the best wide receiver or the best cornerback, but the truth is he's the second best wide receiver and he's the second best cornerback, which is really, really impressive. I know that Tetairoa McMillan down at Arizona is better at receiver, and that's fine. That dude is really, really good. And I know Will Johnson at Michigan is probably the better cornerback. But I think being the second best receiver and the second best quarterback is still really, really impressive. It's really impressive. He plays a ton of snaps. He's durable. He's a freak athlete. He deserves to be the Heisman. I mean, what do you want to do? You want to give it to Dylan Gabriel? That'd be criminal. You want to give it to Ashton Genty? I get that. I get it if you want to give it to Ashton Genty, but if he's not going to break Barry Sanders' record, you can't give it to him. He's playing at Boise State. He's not playing. I mean, he's not playing against real teams. I'm sorry, you know. Washington State gets eliminated from playoff contention. They were already getting disrespected as a one loss. I don't think they could have made it, but maybe. But you lose to New Mexico, you're done. Louisville can't make the ACC championship anymore. You're done. Lose to Stanford. Um, Clemson can. They get a nice win over Pitt, who was ranked weeks ago. And this, I mean, keeps them alive. It keeps Clemson alive. I don't think they're very good, but it keeps them alive. South Carolina takes Missouri out of the playoff contention, which they never were in, but they wanted to claim they were in. So they're officially out now, which is good. South Carolina is a team that can get hot. They're dangerous. They honestly they should have beat LSU, and we would be talking about them differently. This LSU loss, they were robbed. It was criminal. They were robbed. And against Alabama, they could have won that game too. I mean, this Gamecocks team, they're good. They're very good. They get a nice win at home against Missouri. And congratulations to South Carolina. They're not going to make the playoff. It's unfortunate for them, but a hell of a season for the Gamecocks. A hell of a season. Keep winning. Uh, it's fun to watch. Lastly, LSU falls to Florida. This LSU team is just not good. They're just not good. And it's a very good thing that they're fading to what they're fading to. I think Brian Kelly's in trouble. I think he's in real trouble, and I think he deserves to be. He's just not that good of a coach, and he's the worst, and everybody hates him. That's going to do it for this week's episode of Desktop Ball, folks. I hope you enjoyed. If you would please like, comment, subscribe, follow the TikTok, all of the things, interact with the show in whatever way you feel comfortable. I am very grateful to have you, and I will see all of you on Friday. I will do a weekend preview this week. So yeah, I'll see all of you on Friday. Goodbye.